Welcome to week 4 of the Lowell Car Fantasy Football League podcast. It's the end of the first part of divisional play. Now we're going to get to see who's real, who's not. Should be a lot of fun this week. In order to help break that down, discuss maybe how a below 500 team feels about moving out of the division play, the master of multiple first round picks. Without further ado, here we go, Mr. Bielmeyer.
Yes, let's go.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm good. Welcome, welcome. I gave you a little brief intro there. You are the master of multiple picks. So, how does it feel? All those draft assets, and you 1 and 2.
Well,
What?
it's a small sample size. I have a master's degree in mathematics, so an n size of 3 doesn't tell you too much. My projections for the past 3 weeks, I've had the highest projected, scope points per week. So I feel pretty good about where my team is right now. We're going to increase that n size. We will have central limit theorem. We will revert back to the mean. I think I'll be in a great spot.
So the panic meter is at 0. Then is that what you're?
Panic meter is at 0. The only meter that's high is just the antsiness meter, which is always high, whether I'm winning or losing. And it's just like combing, whether I want to make a move on the waiver wire. I end up not doing anything because I feel really good about my team. So I want some action. I want to send a trade, but I'm like, there's no trades that I could really do that I think can improve my team. But without dipping into my draft picks, I'm just not ready to do that yet. Not personally, but I feel like once another week or two go by, I think other people will be more ready to kind of establish themselves as a seller and be more open to accepting a draft pick in return for a trade.
Perhaps it is a little early to really get the draft pick trading going. But of course, you are one to send many trade offers. You did send a rather, I think it's rather one-sided one this morning, and you asked me to go find a trade between our teams that the trade analyzer feels is relatively equal, and so I did that
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll
in
do a live
preparation
trade.
for today.
What do we
Maybe,
have?
maybe. I'm not saying I'm like jumping down, ready to do this. I'm just giving you an example, and so here you go. So this is Patrick Mahomes, Brian Thomas Jr. for Jaden Daniels, Keenan Allen. As you can see here, slight benefit to you, a little more of a negative to me. Again, that's just showing you relatively equal player for player football type trade.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying this is a trade that we're gonna that
Well,
both of us want to pull the trigger on,
let's
but you're
talk
welcome to
about
talk
it.
about it. I just wanted to give you an example of
No, I
something
like this. So my reaction to this trade is I'm not ready to give up on Mahomes just yet. I know a lot of people are. And then Jaden is given a little bit of questionability with his injury right now. Oh, it's just one game. Oh, it's going to be more. We'll see. I think it probably is, honestly, definitely an upgrade at QB because I think there's much more potential for Jaden to just go off and win you a matchup 1 week. Now, Keenan Allen and BTJ. So I have Keenan Allen in another league of mine, and I don't know how long this is going to last. So I think it's kind of like trading Keenan Allen at his highest and then getting Brian Thomas Jr. at his lowest. So that's how I would evaluate that one. So for those reasons, I think it's probably a fair trade if I was just trying to upgrade QB and downgrade wide receiver. But honestly, I'm happy with the quarterback. I'm more trying to upgrade the wide receiver. So that's my assessment there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, again, this isn't something I'm pushing,
Yeah.
on you. It's just to give you an example of what might be a different looking trade
Yeah.
for everyone who's not privy to what was sent this morning, and we'll pull it up here. What we'll do is I'll put that one in the analyzer so everyone can see exactly.
It was
you
just it
know,
was just throwing out the universe of players to consider. It wasn't meant to be, oh, you're going to hit accept on that button. So I know you, Lo, I don't think you've ever accepted a trade that was sent to you. You probably have only been one to send back a trade and have others accept it, you and LaMagna.
I would disagree with that assessment. I'm sure I've accepted trades sent to me. But just so we're clear, we just looked at something that's relatively even from a trade perspective. This is not. So, not to belabor the point.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's just
just
instructive of this isn't the end all be all. I'm
this,
not saying you have to take this
here's
as
my
gospel.
5 seconds on this. The way this looks as get Daniel Jones while he's hot, Jaden Daniels while he's low, Tyler Algiers for Kyle, whatever his name is. It would just be a swap because I would selfishly get a handcuff. That's the only reason I threw that in there. Maybe you have some upside with Kyle for a keeper for next year if you're into that. So then looking at the wide receivers, BTJ, I think, just because I'm be getting wide receivers in return, he'd be a short man out. So definitely my best of that group. Olave and Chris Godwin. Like Chris Godwin might be huge now with Evans out. So you're kind of just banking on those two players, really, on the up. And then again, Cortland Sutton, maybe you're buying him high. Emeka, whatever his name is, also maybe you're buying him high. Garrett Wilson, I love him. Obviously, he was one of my keepers. We did a deal, I think, 2 years ago now for him. But there's still the Jets, which as much as I want to love the Jets, there's so many other people on this pod who know how much they always disappoint. So then I'd be basically saddling myself for some of that disappointment.
I think for
But yeah, I
everyone
agree. It wasn't really to be like you were going to hit accept on it. It was just throw it out there, counter. You would say, no, I'm not going to give up this guy. Instead, I'll throw in this guy. And then maybe this goes down to a 2 for 3 type, swap of players.
I mean, just for anyone who's not watching, but who listens to this at some point in the future, the Paul offered Indiana Jones, Kyle Monangai, Brian Thomas Jr., Chris Olave, Chris Godwin for Cortland Sutton, Emeka Buka, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Algier, and Jaden Daniels. For perspective, that's Paul trading his 3 worst receivers for my 3 best and trying to acquire what is probably the number 1 handcuff running back in fantasy, because if Bijan goes down, Algier is automatically a top 10
No,
player.
he's not. I guarantee you he's not. He's not an automatic handcuff. There's very few automatic. He's crap.
Sure. Okay. Well, then you don't get him.
That's fine.
Simple as that. Now, in terms of, just look at the league as a whole, you're 1 and 2. I know you're not concerned. We touched on that at the top. But looking out, I mean, how do you feel? What's your perception so far? 3 weeks in, we've only got 1 undefeated team, so at least there's a clear team at the top there, Mr. Tights. But how do you feel? You're one of 6 teams that are all relatively close in terms of points scored on average. So there's a good little middle, or not middle, but a good solid group there that you've got to break out of. But give us your assessment on your team as a whole. What you looking for now, moving out of the division play?
Yeah. So here's my assessment. I like the parity across the board because it keeps things exciting. You don't want to have, after 2 games, 2 weeks, people immediately buying, immediately selling. Also, would that be the case this year? Just give them only have 1 more year next year? Maybe not. So I like that everyone feels like they're in it. We're all competitive. Like, people who thought, like you, I'm sure you thought this would be a shit-ass fucking year for you. You're sitting on top of the division. You probably feel really good, and you're maybe sending some trade offers thinking you're a buyer. I like that. So that's my overall assessment. I like that it's all close. Now, if you actually look at how things played out, Eric got lucky. Like, who won that matchup for him? The freaking Vikings defense won that matchup for him. So, yes, he's 3-0. Again, small sample size. I still feel like Zach and I have some of the best teams. Now, for Zach, unfortunately, injuries are crushing him right now. He has no depth at all. I'm thinking, what he may need to do is trade away Mike Evans to someone else who can maybe give him an immediate starter now, in exchange for a guy, Mike Evans, who maybe can help people in the latter half of the fantasy year. And I think there's some questionable decisions for late draft picks and or waiver wire strategy. Obviously hindsight's everything, but I would have probably looked for a little bit more of some of the handcuffs of some of his guys. And now we're just seeing that play out now. Like Zach's in a tough position. That being said, I still think he has quality starters that I think until bye weeks hit, he'll eventually come back to the top. So that's what I think overall about my division. And then, talking a little about Zach, I feel like I'm super excited to see Jacobs competitive. Again, another guy that probably wasn't thinking this was going to be a big year for him. He's competitive. Justin always has one or two guys that just go off that keeps him exciting. Wagner. Like, there's another guy. This is going to be a shit year for me. I only have one pick in the first 5 rounds. He's sitting at 2-1. And you can never count out Richmond. He always seems to find a way to just win the league. So, everyone, I think it's just exciting. For the next couple of weeks, it's going to be exciting. We'll see people beat up on each other. I'm not excited for people to start establish themselves as buyers or sellers just yet. So we'll see what kind of trades are actually going to come through and how are people going to evaluate next year's draft picks. What's the value of those going to be now, given it's the last year? We'll see it all play out.
We'll see. I mean, I think it's interesting. You hit on a number of teams. I'm playing Zach this week. But just based off how the season started here, I mean, it seems kind of like you brought in a very inexperienced player into the league. I mean, you say you like this.
No.
It's okay. Shots can be fired from my perch. He's 0-3. He's in a tough spot. He's not that far off from an average points for perspective. He's probably had some bad luck. I'm curious what his schedule shows. If we look at it from a luck, he's had significantly bad luck, particularly last week going to go up against Kirshner.
Significantly bad luck.
He's had quite a bit of bad luck. So, yes, he's only broken 100 once, but he has scored 10 more points every week, which doesn't bode well for me. But he's had significantly bad luck. So that's something to keep in mind. You say you like this team. Jonathan Taylor's off to a great start.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Walker's playing well. Charbonnet's being banged up. That certainly is an impact there. And JSN, is feasting.
I would buy Charbonnet low right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Zach, you might be looking around. Do I make a deal for Charbonnet? Drake London's been a huge disappointment. The Atlanta offense has been pretty bad outside of week 1.
And Kirk Cousins is getting some playing time. He's probably more surprised than I am.
Exactly. So, I think it's tough because you're right. In terms of depth, especially with Mike Evans hurt, and Kittle hurt. I mean, this team's definitely not where it wants to be. But there's some potential. It's just not a deep team. I think that's the biggest thing is if it's going to improve, it's going to have to improve with its starters. And you're going to have to see Drake London get a lot better. You're going to have to see probably Matthew Golden do something. You're going to have to see the Cleveland offense do something.
Yeah.
Quarterback would worry me. The Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, that's a little, it's a little Jekyll or Hyde, boom or bust type of quarterback. But yeah, I mean, its team has potential, but 0-3 is a tough place to be. I would not want to be this.
I think Matt Golden is his boom play, his ticket, his lottery ticket of sorts. His other bench players are like, okay, they'll hit if the starters, like, they're a bunch of handcuffs, right? Like, so they'll hit if the other running backs, get hurt. I don't see any other of his bench players being like one of those sleeper candidates to like vault into starting status. If we scroll down a little bit, I think that Matthew Golden might only be his only rookie. Yeah. Okay, so, there's maybe a chance that Calvin Austin just, I don't know, turns into a wide receiver 1 if DK gets hurt. I don't know. I mean, otherwise, I think Ford is losing his touches now to Judkins. Rashad White, I think, clearly second fiddle to Bucky Irvin. Blake Corum, I know why he's picking him. He's a Michigan guy. I had him on my team last year. I was super optimistic for it. So again, maybe barring an injury to Kyren Williams, I don't think they're going to pan out. But we'll see. But I like the moves he just made. So I think Calvin Austin might have been one he just picked up. I know that Hollywood Brown's one he just picked up. I don't think Xavier Worthy is going to come back and just tear up everything. So might get one or two good starts out of Hollywood Brown. We'll see.
We'll certainly see. I mean, you also mentioned, another struggling team there. Mr. Richmond's team. You see potential. I don't know. This is a tough one. Genty has not been good. Jefferson, the Minnesota quarterback situation going into the year wasn't great. It certainly doesn't look great now, although I would have to think Carson Wentz is better than J.J. McCarthy overall. Ladd McConkey's been a disappointment. The fact that Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson have played well, and the Bears, DJ Moore, probably just might as well get rid of or bench that player. Of course, Kyle Pitts, it's an Atlanta offense problem. So this is a team that I think on paper you look and say, hey, there's potential. It's got some big names. None of them have lived up to what you would have thought, what you would have expected. And that's pretty tough. Of course, with Burrow hurt, T. Higgins is basically unplayable. David Montgomery, had a huge game. I don't know how much of that is repeatable, how much you can bank on that. But maybe that's something you want to roll the dice on. I wouldn't say this week, but Joe's a team that I would have some concern for, because with the injury situations to the quarterbacks for two of his really three main receivers, and without either of his primary running backs really taking off to start the year, he's struggling. He's slow out of the gate. So this is an owner that he usually does well. He usually finds a way to do it, but he's not a big trader. He's not a guy who's going to trade a lot of picks. So Joe might just say, you know what? It is what it is. If I have a tough year, I have a tough year, and just look to 2026.
To be clear, my commentary on his team was only a function of him as a manager and not a function at all of what his roster was.
Yeah, this roster I think is one where I could see people coming and trying to take pieces from. I don't know that I see.
I was thinking about one today. I was actually thinking, what can I possibly piece together potentially to get Jefferson? And I couldn't quite put together something that I was happy with to send as an offer. But I was thinking about it.
Yeah, again, that's what I think. I think to me, that's maybe where he goes. So we'll see. It's definitely an interesting thing, because usually you expect that team to be good, to be competitive. It has a win, but averaging 81 points a week is not going to get it done. By far the fewest in the league. I'm curious. We've got a lot of teams 2-1, or even 1-2. That there's a lot of everybody's sort of scrunched up, right? Let's see kind of how this develops here when we get out of division play. You're obviously a favorite. People like your team. Your team should do well. You've had a pretty tough schedule, of course. Big upset win week 1. You're welcome. When you survey, who do you think are your biggest competition? Name maybe 2 or 3 teams that you think truly are the biggest competition to you this season.
So I think it's clearly going to be Eric. If we can flash Eric's roster, maybe then we also take a look at mine after that.
Sure. Well, we can go whichever direction you want.
Here's what I'm a little I hate to say this out loud, because I don't want that he's going to take his information and use it. Maybe he won't use it. We'll see. I question the reliance on the Raiders here. He's all in on the Raiders. Oh, crap. Maybe Brock Bowers is hurt, so I'm going to pick up whatever, Mike Myers, or whatever the hell his name is. Why do you need a tight end handcuff when I think you're even rostering a second tight end? So I didn't know why he was wasting time getting Michael Myers, or whatever the hell his name is, and then going all in on his fab for Trey Tucker. It's like, okay, great. What if he does end up to be great? He's going to be competing for touches with Brock Bowers, so you're kind of flooring yourself, unless that's your strategy. Let me just kind of have like a safe kind of floor for Raiders receivers, knowing I have other variability for the rest of my guys to kind of go off. But J.K. Dobbins, good pick at value. Alvin Kamara has been a little bit of a disappointment, but I think he'll bounce back. I think obviously if you really want to compete in this league, you have to have one of those differentiating quarterbacks. Clearly, Jalen Hurts is one of those. You have the wealth of picks, and that's why you acquire picks. Like I have the he has the luxury of being able to be the first to have a crack at McMillan. And then if we scroll down and take a look at his bench, Ramondre Stevenson, yeah, he's probably on the way out. CeeDee Lamb, wow, I haven't really looked right now at what his projected lineup's going to be for this week, but the fact that he's sitting CeeDee Lamb, speaks to his depth. Rashee Rice is going to come back. Yeah, there it is. Hawkinson. He has Hawkinson. Why would you pick up Matt or Matthew or Michael Myers if you have Hawkinson? And then he has the handcuff, the Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, so he has that kind of position locked up. Jalen Waddle is going to become wide receiver 1 by the end of the season in Miami. I don't see Tyreek Hill lasting the whole year in that uniform. So maybe his only downside is that reliance on Justin Fields as his backup. But realistically, is he ever going to start him? 1 week when it's bye week? That's probably it.
Well, I think this team definitely, given CeeDee Lamb's injury and Rice's suspension, Rice is still going to miss this week and another 2 weeks. Plus, they have their bye shortly after that. CeeDee Lamb, nobody really knows, but it looks like it's most likely going to be a 4 to 6 week injury. He may end up on IR. This is a team that needs receiver help. Tatara McMillan has not exactly impressed, I would say, here in the first 3 weeks of the year. Rookie quarterback, Bryce Young is the QB. Trey Tucker, look, we can talk about waiver wire and how much you should spend and not. Obviously, he went all in. I don't know that I want that's a lot of money, a lot of fab to commit. He obviously had a massive game last week, but man, if you really think he's going to be the Geno Smith and primary target, I guess that's okay. But you got Brock Bowers, so you're going to be depending on 2 Raiders pass catchers every week, or at least for a while. That I worry about that a little bit. To me, that's a risk. I think this is a team where he's done really well so far. His division maybe isn't as difficult as others, but this is a team where he probably does need a receiver help, because until Lamb and Rice are there, which you're going to wait a few more weeks, he's really rolling the dice at the receiver position right now. And Dobbins is never going to stay healthy for 17 games. Harvey hasn't looked great in his limited opportunities. So this is a team that I would be interested to see, do they make a move here in the short term? Because that's really where I think there's a weakness here. It's a strong team, don't get me wrong, but is it as strong as it could be? No. And if you're Eric, go all in. Why not? You might as well, because you don't need a lot. 1 or 2 receivers here makes a big difference.
And there are going to be 1 or 2 games where Gibbs will put up 3 points, because I was at the game this week, and both Gibbs and Montgomery, they got the points. And it's kind of crazy to think that they both get fed. But there are going to be games where he's just not going to put it up. Detroit's probably still going to win, but it's a tough situation. It's risky with those.
Yeah, that's really what I think with this team. So we've talked to Eric. You wanted to look at your team. We'll swap over there.
Yes, please show my team.
Here we go. Yeah, well, wonderful picture here. I really must say, in the upper left-hand corner. It's fantastic here. Obviously you got a strong team. We know that. Your receivers have sort of been up and down. But,
they've been down.
Yeah, mostly down, but some up. What are your thoughts? Where do you feel like what can we envision here? What should we know going forward? What's this team going to be looking like, or what's it going to do to try to improve here in the next 2 months?
So just to be blunt and quick, I'm happy at quarterback. I'm happy with my 2 RBs. Clearly I'm set there, and Chase Brown's been disappointing me lately. That being said, I think he's fine as my 3rd RB. Someone who I may end up sitting this week. I'm still on the fence about whether I want to start him or not, given some of the upside you can get with the wide receivers. We'll just kind of see how this Bengals team plays out. So where I have room opportunity to improve? I'm not going to go out and get some other running back. it's going to be a wide receiver. That's where I know I can have more opportunity to get that higher. I think AJ Brown's on the up. I think, say, Flowers, we'll see. Like, he's had some really good games, not Monday. So I'm happy with that. Laporta, I'm happy with. And I think Ferguson as a backup is great. So I'm not looking to make a splash. I don't think that, like, going big for, like, whoever the TE1 or TE2 is, it's not really the same as going big for, like, a Josh Allen or a or a Jalen Hurts type of thing. So I'm really happy tight end. So for those out there that want to make a deal with me, if you have a wide receiver one, like a clear wide receiver one, you can get my wide receiver three, who's probably going to be a decent, wide receiver two for you in exchange, plus a draft pick or something along those lines. And then when you look to my bench, I've been roster baiting my dick like red for the past couple of days, but there's not really any moves I'm looking to make. I'm not trying to farm for rookies with keeper potential like I have in previous years to get me to a situation where I am this year. So I'm happy with what I have. I have upside veteran guys that could possibly pop for us. Chris Olave, yeah, maybe he doesn't look that good right now, but if you look at the number of targets he's getting the ball thrown to. I think he has upside. Chris Godwin, again, Evans injury, you hate to see people get hurt. I think Godwin could come in, and then maybe he's the wide receiver one there. Kyle, whatever the guy's name is my only like kind of dart that like who knows, maybe he'll pop off if Swift gets hurt. Maybe he's someone interesting to add to a trade package. Daniel Jones, let's just see what happens. Again, I'm not starting anyone over Mahomes, but it just for fun if Daniel Jones happens to be, a top 5 QB this year, dark horse candidate for MVP. Nice to have as a backup. So yeah, I like having 2 DSTs to kind of play around with, whether it's a matchup or picking up some guys people are dropping. I'm just really happy with the team. I'm not going to play waivers. There's nothing really I want to do to improve upon this team that's out there.
That's fair. I get that. I would, if I were in your shoes, I'd be looking to, upgrade quarterback. Maybe not quarterback.
It's not.
Definitely.
It's Patrick Mahomes. He's
Well,
a consensus top 5 quarterback in the draft this year, and I don't.
Well,
see
no. That's
in the draft.
misleading. That's misleading. That's misleading because you had
Josh
a
Allen,
Jalen
very Hurts, Jaden Daniels,
he wasn't a top 5.
Joe Burrow, and then Mahomes.
No. You had the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks coming into the year: Allen, Lamar, Burrow,
Lamar,
Hurts, and Daniels are the clear 5. And then there's a gap. There's a nice big gap, and then Mahomes by himself. I'm not saying I'm out on Mahomes.
And Burrow. Yeah.
No, Burrow is above Mahomes.
Oh, okay.
Definitely coming into the year in terms of expectations and projections, for sure. Mahomes, we're not talking about talent. We're talking about fantasy production. So that's a little different. I'm not out of Mahomes. I think you can win with Mahomes. I think here, the way the Philly offense looks, I'd be concerned about A.J. Brown. I'd be concerned about Zay Flowers because you certainly can't depend on him, as you saw last week with 2.3 points. That's obviously not going to get it done. So I get that you were looking for, trade your third receiver, who's really a receiver 2, for, a borderline receiver 1 or receiver 2. I get it. You're willing to throw a pick in there. Completely understand. Is somebody at this point willing to punt on a true receiver 1? Probably not. Except for maybe the guys who have like a Chase or a Higgins or a Jefferson. The problem is you don't really want to inherit those quarterback situations. Like, I don't want to inherit Jake Browning and be relying on that every week. So it's a strong team, but there's always ways to improve, and I'm sure you will try to do that. I'm excited to see what you do next year when you have no early round picks, because you traded them all away to try to win this year. As I said at the first pod of the season, I think you're going to win it all because I think you're going to go all in, and I think you have a strong team. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of moves you ultimately decide to make as we get down to the, where the rubber meets the road, right? So, we'll wrap it up here. We haven't touched on every team. We certainly don't. We don't need to talk about every single squad. You want to end this in a particular
I do.
way. So I gotta click this link. What do you want me? You want me to share the
I
screen
want you to
here?
pull this up. We're going to do this live. In the meantime, I'm going to take a look at the chat. Hello, Matt. Hello, Sam. Great to see you guys. Question, Kraft or Pitts? Definitely Kraft. Charbonnet, yes, Charbonnet. I don't know the context that you said that, LaMagna, but yeah, Charbonnet.
We were talking about Walker Charbonnet at the beginning. So
Yeah.
anyway, you want to end on some poll. Are you a high
Yes.
roller? So what do you want to do here? You want to take this
Okay,
quiz?
let's see here. Am I a 5-card stud or a low stakes Larry? Let's find out by taking the quiz. Check all that apply. Okay, that's a no. When I blow the dice for luck, you get as much luck spit on them as possible. It's a no. Royalty check when it says my kind of town. I'll say yes to that. Yes to number 3. You can list all the numbers of the playing cards in order. I mean, sure, that's not hard to do. I've donated thousands of blue chips to humanitarians in Bangladesh. No, haven't been there. When you see people playing penny slots, you casually mention out loud. Yep, unfortunately, yes. Maybe not the violence of the shooting, but yes. Thank you when a dealer gives you a new card. I think I'm probably yes, probably. Hotel concierge at MGM is your AA sponsor. Maybe future AA sponsor, so I'll say yes. Cocktail casino, Benjamin Harrison was in the White House. That's actually true. I don't pay for cocktails. Thank you, Lowell. You're a little bit behind there. Low stakes more than anything. Rwandan genocide. Dear God. But yes, I don't like low stakes. They have crappy odds. People playing 6 to 5. I just don't get it. Big money in 3 different languages. Let's see. Grande, pesos, and nope, that's just 2. So that's a no. Pitbull follows you around. No. Snake eyes. Snake eyes. Snake eyes. Yes. Say that. Let's see. Mailing address is Vegas, baby. Nope. Kesha, revive Kesha from death. No. Bellagio fountains, bathing. Let's say yes. I've been known to swim in waters I shouldn't be swimming in. And the Snake Eyes, you met director Brian De Palma. No, you're missing the Bellagio fountains checkbox, Lowell.
I'm getting there. Don't worry.
Okay. Nephew thinks you're hot shit. Yes, I have 2 nephews, and they think I'm hot shit.
Oh wait, first, when you call American Express on the phone,
Oh,
they wish you a happy birthday, even if it's not your birthday.
yes, because I'm a proud holder of at least 5 cards, kind of my corporate card. Nephews think I'm hot shit. Yes. Mayor of Vegas named one of their pet snakes after you. Yes. By Mayor of Vegas, they mean one of the Chuck, one of the diners at American Star Diner with his pet snake. It's a North Wales throwback to anyone out there in Pennsylvania. Empty chair to craps table. No, there's no seats at craps tables. You don't sit at a craps table. Short stories. Lady Luck. They call her Lady Luck. When I look at her, I'm in heaven. I'm as lucky as a lucky 7. Yes, that's yes to the Lady Luck. Difference between coniferous forest and a big old pile of cash. Yes, I can tell the difference between that. I'm a no comment on the next one. Okay, yes, you know the answer to that. How many marriages that you've tanked? Well, let's just go ahead and check that one. If you count, yeah, let's just do that. You close with the tiger that you're close to the tiger that mauled Roy. Nah, I don't think so.
All right, let's find
Let's
out.
see. Am I a high roller?
You are a low to medium roller.
What?
You're not one to shy away from the craps table as long as it's at your daughter's middle school casino fundraiser night. Sounds about right. Probably the daughter you just found out you had. You don't drink Vegas nectar, and you probably don't know where to buy some either.
Well, you know what? I'm happy with that. I gave an honest assessment to these questions, and If I'm not a high roller, I want to know who scores higher on this quiz.
All I know is you are gambling at a middle school casino night, which either is incredibly appropriate for this group of degenerates or wildly concerning. But I'm not your parole officer, so I won't comment any further. So I appreciate it.
It's been good, and also I love the setup we have here. We got to have some fun with the taglines at the bottom. Make sure everyone here likes and subscribes.
Those are called banners.
This
Yes,
is
I know.
the podcast. This is where you want to be. I'm honored and privileged to be a guest so early in the season this year.
I'm glad you enjoy the improved technology that we have this year. I think it's enhancing the quality of the pod from a visual perspective, not from a listening perspective, but mostly a visual medium. At least we had multiple viewers this week. Usually we have one, so I appreciate that we're bringing people in. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be checking the numbers tomorrow, so we'll know whether or not your significant other liked and subscribed. So appreciate it. Enjoy week 4. I'd say good luck because we're not playing one another, so I really don't care if you win or lose.
We'll see. I think Zach's going to spank you. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, I mean, I don't think my team's very good. Let's be clear.
Says the guy
I'm
who's
enjoying
trying
the ride.
to be a buyer at the deadline right now. Okay,
I'm not trying. First
week
of all,
3.
It's not a deadline. I'm just trying to enjoy the fact that I'm 2-1, and I'm going to enjoy it for as long as the ride lasts. But I don't have any expectations of making the playoffs. But I am going to enjoy it in the meantime.
Nice. Well, sounds good.